GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
go. Pending final steps to cabin link check. Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the R.I.F. Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hello, chat. My name is Joni Skinner, and we are streaming live tonight on the R.I.F. Nation Network. Welcome to Mysteries Beyond the Scenes, where astrology meets true crime. I hope y'all are doing well tonight. Hello, chat. How is everybody? It's chilly here, but it was beautiful today. It was mid-60s. And, you know, all of our leaves are changing. So if you guys live in an area that doesn't have your leaves changing, let me know and I'll post some pictures next week. They're beautiful this year. Really pretty. So let me know if you're down like in Florida or, I don't know, Texas people. Is Tammy in the chat? Do you guys have do your leaves change? Does anybody know if they change in Texas? We'll have to ask Tammy or Kathy. How are you guys for this Wednesday? It's a crazy Wednesday. I just want you guys to know I did Keith's show on Monday. So if you missed Keith's show on Monday, we went over the astrology for November. And I thought it would calm down a tad. It's not. We're in what's called a grand trine. You guys have heard me talk about grand trines for the entire month, which is really a great transit to be in. But everything is swirling. So here are some things you need to remember for November. just go with the flow. We have planets coming into retro, going out of retro. We have Mercury retro, but it's only lasting 20 days. That's how fast Mercury is running. We're still in the Magi triangle that I've talked about all year. Historically, astrologically, historical year. And it's just starting to pop up. Hello, chat. How are you, Miss Heidi? How's it going? How's Boulder? Oh, I hope you feel better. Feel better, Heidi. Hello, Miss Lee. How are you? And Miss Cindy, who is our latest addition to the Rift Nation Network. Cindy is going to be doing her show soon, I hope, on energy. She does the bulls. She's an energy expert, healer. She's a healer, energy expert. I can't wait for her show. How are you, Miss Cindy? She's an astrologer too. She's a multitasker. Hello, Miss. Now, here's the astrologer, too. Hello, Miss Ruru. How are you? Miss Ruru and I have been going back and forth on cases like crazy, haven't we? They've been popping up a lot. How are you, Miss Denise? How are my friends in Canada doing? How are you, Canada? Is it cold up there? Is it getting cold? It's usually cold. Driving and listening. Oh, that's so good, Heidi. Be careful, hon. I hope y'all are doing well. You know, I'm ready for the weekend already. I'm doing great. Oh, Lee says, any weather under 60, forget it. Lee just wants to be sitting out at her pool. She's got a beautiful pool. Tell me no snow in PA. Oh, no. Should be ready in December. Oh, so her show is going to be ready in December. I'm looking so forward to it. You know, do you have a night? I guess we shouldn't talk about if you have a night picked out yet. That'd be great if you did like Wednesday. That'd be great. So let's see. Canada's calling in with windy and wet here today. And Mr. Keith, how are you, dear? Got us shared out. Thank you, Keith. I was trying to explain to the chat that if they missed your show when I was on it Monday, we talked about how crazy, a little bit crazy November was. And I don't know if y'all saw it on the news, but down in Louisville, which is about an hour and a half from me, there was a horrific plane crash. And it was a UPS. It's a huge UPS hub down there. It was a horrific crash. It's odd. You know, it's kind of like a tinfoil hat. But it was a weird plane situation. But remember, you know, we're in that Mars-Uranus opposition, and Uranus is air travel. So we had that, and that is direct today. So we've talked about Mars-Uranus till I can't talk about it anymore. It's just crazy. Okay, so here we go. Cindy believes that I think Monday at 9 or 9:30 is my time slot. Okay. I was on Mondays for a while, remember? And then I switched over to Wednesday. And I can't remember why I switched to Wednesday. I can't remember. I don't know. I liked Mondays, but I like Wednesdays too. I like Fridays the best. Saw the plane crash. Yeah, Lee, unfortunately the unalive toll is now up to 11, and they think it's going to climb. And it wasn't from people on the plane. It was from people in the community that were in businesses and were working, that the debris and the fire consumed such a huge area. And actually Louisville, and if you guys aren't familiar with it, it's where the Kentucky Derby is held every year. And they went on complete lockdown. The entire town did last night. they went on. It was just, I have so many friends down there. And then my friends today were sending me pictures that they took from their office buildings while it was actually in real time happening. So I've got some pictures from some friends that were like, what is going on? They didn't know. It was very scary for them. Very, very scary. And I'm going to tell you what, people can talk about, you switched to Wednesday because of that time we were both doing shows on Mondays. It got too late. Oh, okay. I'm glad you remembered. People can talk all they want. We have a governor in Kentucky that when there's an emergency, I've got to hand this man so much credit for that. But when there is an emergency, when we have anything like a flood or a tornado or something like that, he goes. He's there, and I don't see that a lot when big events occur. He was in. I guess he's about a 45-minute drive from where he is to Louisville. While this happened, he was like talking to people and texting and tweeting out in the car headed to Louisville. And I have to hand him so much credit. He's on top of it. And he comes on, he tells us what is happening. And, there were floods down in Hazard. He was there. Tornadoes. He was there. We had that horrible we've had a lot of disasters that have happened in Kentucky. It's just been really weird. Very, very weird. Lots of tornadoes. But that that plane crash doesn't surprise me with the Uranus Mars opposition. None in the least. At all. It doesn't surprise me in the least. It's exact today. So, and Mars is moving fast. It's going to separate. Again, it's like we said, we use that energy to the positive nature. But sometimes, there's earthquakes firing off. We got space junk Atlas out there. I call it space junk. I probably tick people off. I just kind of laugh at it because they don't know what Atlas is. We don't know what Atlas is. I can't wait. I kind of want it to be creatures or a UFO. I think it would be kind of fun. It'd be something different. Hello, Miss Lois. How are you, dear? I think it would be fun if it were like UFOs. I would talk to it and say, I can have my bag packed in 5 freaking minutes. Can you take me to Florida? I promise I won't talk a lot the whole way. You could probably get to Florida on Atlas in about 10 minutes. I would love that. Enough of me goofing off. I can't wait for Cindy's show. Have you guys been keeping up with any true crime this week? It's been, we had, and I added into tonight's show. We covered little Mikey Monkey. Remember, his little nickname was Monkey because his parents said he was like a little monkey. Monkey Vaughn, Michael Monkey Vaughn. And he went missing. And we covered that case pretty extensively. There was an arrest last week. So I put that on for the show. And I know Kirsty. And for those of you who don't know who Kirsty is the forensic astrologer extraordinaire. Look, here I go. Her brand new book, Forensic Astrologer Workbook. I talked to her this week. She says thank you to everybody in the U.S. for getting her book. She's from Australia, so it's hard to talk to her. We're on different time frames. And she thanked everybody. She's a pioneer in forensic astrology. This book, it's phenomenal. You could use that book alone to get started on forensic astrology. I have gone back and gone through a lot of old cases because of what she added extra into the book. So I brought that for you guys. But the first case, now this is an interesting case. This is Laralee Spear. And this is an old case, you guys. This is an old case. This is from 1994, April 25th. Laralee Spear. And what happened is they have basically reopened a lot of cases due to technology completely updating and updating. We're seeing that people are getting, going back 20, 30 years because of DNA. Remember we covered the yogurt shop unalives homicides, where they had found out who had done that because of what they have done with DNA. So this case is also not considered cold. So Laralee Spear's case is still open. Now this is it's called DeLand, Florida. It's kind of near Flagler Beach, but more into Central Florida. Hello, Miss Kathy. How are you? And also an announcement was made. If anybody has a cold, what they consider a cold case after 3 years, you can request the federal government, because of updates in technology, for them to take a look at any case that you can name that's an old cold case. There are forms, and you submit it to them for them to look at it because of the updates with technology and DNA. So, hello, Kath. I hope y'all are doing well. Let me get this bigger and let's take a look at Laralee's case. And this is one of those cases where it's like, how do they have time? I mean, it's crazy. So let's take a look at it now. What happened? Laralee was 15 years old. Now we have to remember, back in 1994, Central Florida was pretty rural. So she was dropped off at the bus, normal time, April 25th, 94. She's 15 years old. Okay. And she goes down a dirt road to get to her home. She was just almost shy of her 16th birthday. So let me show you. And there's a picture of her. Now, and here's the little map, okay? As you can see, there's DeLand High School. You can see where the victim's house is down to the bottom left of the little map, and where she was ultimately found, right near her home. Now, of course, we're saying cameras. Well, 1994, we didn't have Ring cameras. We didn't even have cell phones. So we look at technology now, and of course, everything, we've got Ring cameras, we've got cell phones. They can get that data that way. So you have to kind of put your mindset back, dropped off at the bus, walked that way every day. Her mother knew exactly what time she would get home every single day. She was about 15 minutes late, and her mother, she would usually get home by 3:30 every day. She was 15 minutes, 20 minutes late, and her mother called the police to say, hey, she's missing. She's not home yet. I can't find her. So back then, the police knew everybody, y'all. I mean, it was just a different world back then. Really a different world. So they started searching immediately. A helicopter. Now, here's the road. Okay, so you can see how rural this area is. Okay. They started to search, and as you can see, the helicopter, which is on the top left, the helicopter got into the search. And this was an old, abandoned, burned down house. As you can see from the map, it was close to her home. And the pilot spotted Laralee's remains in the back of this burnt out house. It was about a quarter mile from the Spear home. So on the ground, they found her behind the burnt out house, and she had been unalived with a pew shot. I can't say that, but okay, she had bruising, and her attacker attempted to assault her, it appears. They don't know. So this case, back in June, there's a wonderful detective still working on it. They have upped the reward for any information that can lead to her attacker, who did this horrific crime. They have upped this to $100,000. Okay. So what can we find out? We know where she is. We knew she was found, so there's no need to map it, correct? So I thought, now, what was crazy about this case is that I used Kirsty's new book to look some things up, because and Rue said it's amazing, and it is. I saw where Rue said that in the chat. It's amazing. And yes, Keith, I will. I'll get them for you. For the forms for the government, yeah. It may be FBI, but I'll look for you. I'll find them tomorrow for you. Yeah, it's in Central by Flagler. It's kind of by Flagler, that area, in that area in Central. Hi, Crystal. How are you? So, ultimately, as they do, the case went cold, right? But it's really not cold. They kind of really opened it back up. So what can we see on, I'm going to make it a lot bigger. There we go. What can we see on this forensic astrology chart? This blew me away. And I think because it's an older case from 1994, I thought, I'm just going to say what I looked up and it found, because it kind of blew me away. Now, as you all know, when we do forensic astrology, we use what we call an event chart. It is not a natal chart. It's an event chart. Forensic astrology hinges more on what we term mundane astrology, which is event astrology, or, a country's astrology, like what's going to happen in an election, what's going to happen to anything that has to do with world events, like a royal marriage or whatever, world events. So we use an event chart. The most important thing is what we call a timestamp. When that person was last seen. Where were they last seen? Those are very important, because astrology, it's mathematical. So without a correct timestamp, the charting and the mapping that we provide for search and rescue groups or law enforcement, that it won't be accurate. And we can't have people out traipsing through swamps and rough terrain, as Tammy will tell us. Even if it's a mile off, that's a lot. But let's take a look at Laralee's chart. This is they didn't have any real suspects, by the way. So as you know, the red they're red. The red arrows, we always look at the first house, or what is called the rising sign. That represents the victim. Okay? So Laralee is represented by Virgo. The ruling planet of Virgo is Mercury. So we look up at the red arrow at the top right, and the red arrow is pointing to Mercury. Mercury rules Virgo. So that's Laralee right there. Okay. We use the moon is always called the co-ruler in every forensic astrology chart. So where is the moon? It's down in the third house, red arrow, bottom, in the third house, the house marked third. Now remember, in the third house, that gives us an idea of what is occurring with the victim. Is he or she in a car? Is he or she walking? This is within a neighborhood. This is the house that gives us their actions. Okay? Gives us their actions. So we see her in the third house within the neighborhood. Because remember, third house is within a neighborhood. And of course, she was abducted in a neighborhood. So let's take a look at the seventh house. If there is a perp, and we know there's a perp because she was unalived. Seventh house, it's Pisces, okay? The ruler of Pisces is Neptune. So let's look to see where Neptune is in the chart. Neptune, purple arrows, fifth house. What's interesting about this chart is we see Neptune is right next to Uranus. Uranus can give us locations, but it can also give us an idea of this was a surprise attack. So it was like a chaos, unexpected surprise attack. Quick, very quick. Now, we also know that they attempted to assault her. He. Fifth house. Purpose in the fifth house. When we see assaults or things of that nature, it's fifth house. That'll show up in the fifth house. And we can see that he, represented by Neptune, is joined with her up to the ninth house. So we'll get to that. Okay. So when we interpret the chart, we're going to look at the first. So that's kind of like the lay of the land on a crime chart. We look at the angles. First, fourth, seventh, and 10th house. Those are called angular houses. But the other houses are just as important. Okay. So victim in the ninth house may have been taken or abducted. Could be that the victim was moved from an initial location. Okay, moon in the third, which is Laralee. She's within the neighborhood. Likely took her close to home, short distance, or victim was taken by car, taken while walking, driving, being transported. We know that for a fact. Okay. So let's take a look at the fifth house, because we'll just go around the houses now. Let me see where my notes are. Okay. The fifth house. Oh, third house. The perp. Now, what's funny about this, now listen to this. This was weird. Jupiter is in the third house. That can be a charismatic teacher or mentor. Remember that. First sign, teacher or mentor. Okay. Fifth house. It could indicate drugs, but it also indicates assault or an attempted assault. Okay. Seventh house. That tells us about the perp. Okay. It tells us about the perp, the seventh house, because that's the perp's house. Victim was bound, hands were tied, restrained with Saturn in there. And we know that she was found and her hands were bound. Saturn in the seventh house, are you listening to this? Indicates, could be a teacher, mentor. We now have two markers in this chart indicating teacher or mentor. I thought that was pretty interesting. With a substance abuse history, could be. Okay. So let's look at the 8th house. Mars. Mars shows us our violence, what occurs. It's the 8th house of unalive. Mars is a weapon. It's traumatic and a very fast unaliving with a pow. And that there's that. Okay. So then we're going to look at the 9th house, which really caught my eye because the moon goes up to the 9th house, okay, where she is. You ready? Okay, so it's longer distances. Remember that? It could be religious or ideologue people. It can also indicate foreign person. Guess what? It can indicate a teacher-student relationship with the sun up in the 9th house. So now we have 3 indications, 3 markers, which are 3 completely separate planets in areas in this chart that have now told us could be a mentor or a teacher type of a person to look for. Now, this has been since 1994. That's why I said it, because it's, the time has gone on for so long. And sometimes when they had indicated that, oh, that house back there, it's where kids used to go and there was drugs and they would drink. Well, okay, that's probably what kids normally do with abandoned houses. But sometimes they get so wrapped up into an investigation that they don't look and expand that out and say, wait a minute, could this have been possibly someone that knew she was on the bus and knew the route, knew who she was? Was she familiar with this person? We don't know. It happened so quickly. So I thought that was very interesting with her case. What do you guys think about that? Hi, Miss Tammy. Tammy's joined us, y'all. She's nursing my sick pigeon. Tammy, how do you know a pigeon is sick? I don't even know. How do you freaking know a pigeon is sick? What? I think that's an indication. Rue, what are your thoughts on that? Rue is an astrologer, and I just thought, I have never seen a chart where it has really come out and told us repeatedly, teacher, or a mentor. Could it be religious? Was this somebody in a church? I don't know. But those are avenues that they could look at. Rue, have you ever seen that where we've got 3 houses, the 3rd, the 7th, and the 9th, that are telling us, hello, look there. I thought that was super, super interesting for a cold case. I think it's well worth looking into that. What do you all think about that? I think so. I think that's about it. I know it's so clear, right? Yeah. And this is using Kirsty's new book. The wealth of information that we're getting out of her new book is I told you, it's taken forensic astrology to a whole nother level. We would look at charts, but we relied on mapping more so than interpreting the chart. And now with all the wealth of information that's coming out of a chart, it's like it's flipped on us due to her book. She's so modest too. She's like, you know what I mean? She's so down to earth and so great. She's like, well, she's just so grateful that everybody's enjoying her book. And it's like, you're a pioneer. He's a disabled pigeon and he's not himself. He was flying around the backyard a little bit. And I wasn't supervising him. Oh. Oh. He was flying around the backyard a little bit. Well, we hope he's better for you, Miss Tam. We hope he's better. Okay, Crystal says, I know it's not unusually looked at here, but I can't get over the mutual reception between the 5th and the 7th house. Well, that's where your assaults are going to show up. Normally, the 5th house is normally in regular astrology. It's the best house out there. It's the fun house. It's where we enjoy things. It's areas where, like I said, it could be ball fields, sports arenas. It's love life. It's pleasure. And when we look at criminal astrology, we're usually looking at the darker side. It's manifestations of the darker parts of the 5th house. So, and usually with Saturn, it can be restrictions, but it can also show us where remains are, because Saturn is bones. So I thought that was just a very interesting chart. I thought it was super interesting. Super, super interesting. I know, Rue, it's just interesting. So now I know y'all, I don't remember if you guys remember Little Monkey Michael Vaughn, his case. And just I'll kind of give you just a real quick Reader's Digest version of Michael's case. This is the case, if y'all remember, it was in Fruitland, Idaho. Fruitland, Idaho, a rural area. Little Michael, 5-year-old Michael, went out. His mama was at work, and what happened is, he went out to get the neighbors. Little monkey went out to get one of the neighborhood children to play. Went to the neighbor's house, knocked on the door, and the neighbors, the mother said, no, it's dinner. You need to go home, Michael. She watched Michael walk all the way up to almost where he walked back into his house. And then she shut her door. She watched him go back to his home. So what had happened is Michael got out of the house, which every 5-year-old boy is going to do, while Dad was changing the baby's diaper while Mama was at work. Nothing unusual about that. He was gone within minutes. Michael just disappeared. So, make a long story short, father called mother. They came home. They called the police. This was the biggest search. And remember, Rue, everybody showed out. This whole town showed up for Little Monkey. The parents got on camera. I mean, just begging for Michael to be found. And I have to give it to law enforcement on this case. They said they would never allow this case to go cold. And they didn't. They did not do it. And this has gone on since 2021. This was July 27th, 2021, around 6:30 at night. And they didn't let this go cold. So this is what I'm going to show you all. And then I'm going to show you who got arrested. There was a couple that came into the picture pretty early on into the investigation that a lot of the creators and YouTubers picked up. And there was a particular neighbor that seemed to always be on getting interviewed. And people were very sus with this guy. There are so many videos out there to give you more details about these people that, I mean, I don't have that much time to get into it. One of them and all four of the people that lived in a particular home, there was a couple, a man and a wife, and then two other gentlemen that lived with them were named as persons of interest. The wife, she was arrested in 2022. She was arrested for failing to report Michael's unaliving. Okay. The charges were dropped in April of 2023. She's in jail for another unrelated incident. Yet her husband, he is the one that has been charged. Okay. So we'll get into that a little later. But just take a look at this chart, y'all. Take a look. This chart this will blow you away. Okay. Michael is the green arrows. Remember the ascendant. Oh yeah. I can't watch him. I can't, I turn him off. The guy that got arrested. I can't. It just makes me sick. Michael is represented by Sagittarius. The ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter. So Michael is represented with the green arrows. Okay. So we look in the chart and we see Michael, there's Jupiter, and we look for the moon. They're in the house. Michael was almost in the house, around the house area. We know that. We know that for a fact. Let's take a look at the perp. The perp is Gemini. Remember, duality signs. This could possibly be more than one perp when we see Libra or Gemini. Okay. So they are represented by Mercury up in the 8th house. Okay. That's the perp. Pink arrows. Now, take a look at what struck me as very funny in this chart is the 2nd house is Pluto. Whenever we look for a malefic type of a planet on a crime chart, which would be Uranus, Saturn, or Pluto, of course, Mars. Pluto is in the 2nd house of money. I wonder if Michael Monkey was abducted for ransom and money initially. That's what I think. That's what the chart seems to indicate. But I don't know. So we see that Michael looks like a female out in the open with Venus. See the green arrows that are going up? So there's a female out in the open. But then we see over into the 9th house again. Remember, 9th house can be where they are moved. Well, what's the problem with Michael's case? The husband said, wait, let me get their house. The husband said that the wife put him in the backyard and that she apparently moved him. It's in the chart. It's showing us in the chart that she was indeed moved. But you know what? It's the sun. That would indicate to me a male moved him around Leo. So we got to look for a Leo area because Michael's remains have not been found. Okay. He was the husband was arrested for the unaliving of Michael. They've got other evidence, I'm sure. We'll find out. So let's take a look at, we looked at the chart. The chart just tells us exactly what has happened. Take a look at this. This is the mapping that I did, and the pink button is where Michael's house was, right? Take a look at the chart. And of course, we use the mileage that the ascendant gave us. Look at this line, the yellow line. Guess where it takes us? That yellow line, y'all, took us exactly to the house where Michael was put and buried for the first time. At least that's what this monster is admitting to now, that he was initially put in the backyard by his wife. She's saying something different. Of course she is. So hopefully the truth will come out, but he has never been found. But look at that. Exactly to the house. Right to it. The astrology went right to their house. Now, I did the pink lines around there on what route they would have taken to get to their house. And so this is about a quarter of a mile away from, they live about a quarter of a mile from each other. So we don't know where Michael is. Monkey is. If we had a timestamp, Rue and I, with how this chart and this mapping hit, we could find him. But we would need to know when he was moved and an approximate time. Yeah, there are two other suspects, but they're being kind of hush hush on that. There are so many different stories that have come out of this case. You just don't know. We know there were 3 males and a female that lived in that home. We know that. The only one that has been charged is the male, which was the wife of the woman that she was arrested, and the charges were dropped. He has been arrested for the new charges are I can't say it, but you guys know what that is. So I'm just hopeful that we can get a time. And they said that they used the FBI and the police used the cell phone data and, of course, the cameras to put together the case. So we will see. Yeah, I cannot believe how it went right to that house. And I know Kirsty did this. Kirsty did this case, and Kirsty called out that house immediately. And of course I use what Kirsty taught all of us what to do as far as the case goes. Whoops. But that's the forensic astrology that we use as Kirsty's mapping. So, and it went right to the house. So if we study the chart more, and hopefully we can I'm going to keep looking on this and find out if we can get another timestamp, Rue, and a date, we would be on this. We could find him. Because this chart's so accurate. It tells us. But maybe we can get something out. We don't know who did what, because they've been talking on each other, and they're on all these different creators, YouTubes, and it's too much, because that everybody knew that they were suspects and people of interest, and I just couldn't listen to them. So I just wanted to show you that update on, I got pictures of them, of this is when they were, okay, here we go. So here she is to the left, and the guy, the second one on the right, is who is arrested. And the other two were living with them at the time. I don't know if they are still persons of interest. I'm not sure where the case is at right now. They have not given up on this case with this baby. So, and Monkey's mother just had and here was the press conference. This is one of the press conferences. Law enforcement never gave up. They never gave up. And Michael's mother just had a liver transplant and is out of the hospital. She's a young woman, and they have other children. So this one is just heartbreaking. They just want Monkey home. Yeah. Tammy, I covered this case extensively in 21. Yeah, right to the house, Tammy. I know. It went right to the house. Right to the house. Rue just mapped the case that we did last week of the gentleman that was missing up in the Smoky Mountains, where he, the ATV that we looked at, and Rue mapped it from his house, and it went right to where they found the ATV. Rue just mapped it and sent me. I mean, so the charting and the mapping is just, it's crazy. So y'all, that's our show for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed. Activate chat. Let me see what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm clicking buttons. Yeah. So that's the show for this evening, y'all. I hope you guys have a wonderful, thank you so much for tuning in. And don't forget to hit the like button. And we will keep doing what we do with our forensic astrology and true crime. And it's very sad. We're going to take a look at next week. We've got some interesting stuff happening here too, with some court cases that we're going to take a look at. Y'all, we got some people that are getting arrested, and we're going to take a look at that next week on if these people, we had an old FBI director got arrested, and we're going to take a look at his chart next week and see what's going on with that, and look at some court cases coming up. And of course, we'll do another true crime, do another case, and keep up with it. A lot of these cases are getting solved, so we're going to stay up with it. Well, thanks, Miss Tammy. Thanks, Miss Kathy. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Oh, you're more than welcome, hon. Thank you guys for tuning in. I love doing what we do. We love the astrology, don't we, Rue? And it's so neat because Denise is learning, Cindy is learning, Lois is learning. It's just, well, they're astrologers right now, and they're just learning forensic astrology, and we need more. We need more. We need more astrologers. And because, why I say that, because I'm showing search and rescue groups how to do this. So we need more astrologers, girls, other astrologers. We need more. So you guys have a wonderful, great week. Enjoy that grand trine that's out there. Be careful of this Mars Uranus. It should be separating the next couple of days. Just be mindful. Just be mindful. It can be fiery, so be careful with that. Watch your driving, and just heads up. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I have a great weekend. Have a great rest of the week. Only a couple days left, but thanks so much, and I will see you guys next Wednesday for another Mysteries Beyond the Scenes. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great week. Bye-bye.